Alrighty. We can give people a minute to hop in here. Oops. Let's see what's been sending here. Stronger storms will be potentially capable of of large to very large hail threat. Latest text on the outlook. All right, guys, we're giving everybody a minute to tune in, settle in, and we will get started on this. Things clearing out. Sunny. Is it sunny outside your office right now? Looks like it.
Yeah. In addition to several tornadoes. Okay. Well, guys, we're just letting some folks file in. Welcome to the stream here. Make this one here a little bit more serious as we're getting closer to an event that might be serious. First and foremost, share this with a friend, invite a friend, tag a friend, DM a friend, phone a friend, text a friend. I don't know. What do? You do all the things.
Share.
Yeah, share it. If you get any value out of it, if it brings anything to you, if it helps you, share it. Pay the fee, share the stream. It's sunny out right now, and I want to kind of go over the latest evolution of what I'm seeing on satellite, plus also the change in the outlook and kind of just the trends here. I've got a nice little image here for you I'd like to pop up on the screen. So I'm going to share that now, and you should be able to see that here. So this is the visible satellite imagery. This is the old risk updating into the new one for the enhanced risk area. Now, what I'm going to do real quick is I want to go particularly to the tornado risk. Okay, and I want you to see kind of how that changed and upgraded and kind of came west a little bit to include more of northwestern Indiana for the most part. Regardless, the 10% with the black lines through it still indicate a significant risk for severe weather or tornadoes. I'm sorry. And what I mean by that is tornadoes stronger than an EF2. So it's basically the indication or the forecast of a strong tornado being possible. I want to read to you real quickly here just some of the information from the SPC and kind of their thought process of what they were saying. And based on morning model guidance, storms that will develop across, let's see, let me get to the right spot. Isolated to scattered storms are forecast to eventually develop this afternoon across parts of the Ohio Valley in association with warm, moist air advection. Although there is some uncertainty that remains, some of the new model guidance coming in, which I'm about to show you, is starting to paint a little bit more of a clear picture, in my opinion. Although there is some uncertainty, the stronger storms where supercells can develop will be capable of large to very large hail, in addition to several tornadoes, perhaps a few which may be strong. Basically, the verbiage here in the risk area that you see. Okay, I'm showing you the satellite too because the sun's coming out, so the energy's building in. The verbiage here is indicating that if things can do what we think they're going to do, there could be several tornadoes and large hail events today. It's not a guarantee. I'm not coming on here saying 100% probability of that. What I am saying is things are coming together for the ceiling is high with today's event, is what I'm saying. Yeah. There could be a busy evening. So, Brett, if you want to kind of weigh in on what I'm saying here.
Yeah, a couple of things. And somebody made the point here. I'm going to throw this comment up here because I think that this is, let me see if I can get back to it. There we go. Sun's been out almost the whole day here in central Ohio. And again, I think that's why areas in eastern Indiana and Ohio there have just had the most time to get this daytime heat, and that's part of the reason that you see the threat there. And still, one of the reasons we thought maybe that there could be an upgrade. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. We'll see. Sometimes they do special updates later. I wouldn't be opposed to the idea if they did. But I think, as Michael said, especially the hail threat. I mean, I'm concerned. The tornado threat is certainly there. There is no doubt about it. But it's unusual, some of the signals we're seeing for this part of the country for large hail this afternoon. And so I would not be shocked to see some reports of some very large hail possible as we work in these storms later this afternoon and this evening. I'm definitely concerned about that. It probably being the most widespread threat. Certainly tornadoes are a threat as well, but just in terms of any storm will be capable, I think, of the hail, and in the strongest storms, the tornadoes.
Yep, I agree. I want to look right now at the dew point, the advection of the moist air that we've been talking about. We are north of that 66-degree dew point now across and south of I-70. 68 to 70-degree dew points have worked their way into southwestern Indiana. Getting those dew points closer to 70 degrees is critical for tornado development, in my opinion, today, and that's certainly evident in this particular instance. And then the other thing too is, I want to turn this off and turn the cape on. You can see that the cape is the energy. I'll turn the satellite off real quick. Is the energy advecting into the area for thunderstorm development? Watch just in the last few hours, we go from virtually 100 to 3,000 joules of cape, or units of cape, if you will, simply put, there in southern Illinois. So that energy is rapidly coming in. It's rapidly advecting northward. And that is due to the clearing that has developed. That was going to be the wild card that we've been talking about. Is the sun going to come out? And it's only 1:20 and the sun is out. And so that's really allowing for rapid destabilization to occur. And I think that's why, Brett, I like the latest, the new HRRR run that's in,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I want to talk about for timing. So I'm gonna go to that route here and pull that tab up. So here's the HRRR run. And see if I can zoom in a little bit here. And you can see the first round that has worked off. And this is, this is 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Really, for the next 2 hours overall, we should see overall storm-free environment. In fact, I can verify that by looking at clarity real quick. There is no development going on right now in the source region where the severe weather is going to come from.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to still continue to allow for destabilization, if you will, Brett.
And that's what we talked about earlier, is that right now, if we were seeing that activity really bubble up, it would maybe limit things a little bit, but we're not seeing that. The longer that holds off, the more likely that we are going to see more widespread severe weather as we work later on into this afternoon.
Yeah.
And I see some people commenting in Columbus, cloudy, no sun. That line, if you're in Columbus, is still pushing off to the east. So yeah, you are still going to have some clouds to deal with, but you've also already had a little bit of time throughout the daytime to build in some moisture and some heat. So,
yep, absolutely. So here's the latest run of the high resolution rapid refresh. This is 3 o'clock Eastern time. Here is 4 p.m. Eastern time. And then 5 p.m., we start to see some maturing of these supercells, or these individual cell thunderstorms. The first one will be located out here across Vigo County, just in this particular instance. I'm going to click on a skew T there out there and show you that. That's on the storm, if you will. But regardless, it's a good environment for potential tornado development coming into this as that storm moves into this environment. Again, this is 4 o'clock. I'm going to go one frame forward. This is, I'm sorry, that was 5. This is 6 p.m. Eastern. You got a thunderstorm here just west of Fort Wayne, one west of Indy and down south. Now, I want to make sure you guys understand that simulated radar guidance is it's a tool. It's not going to nail exactly where the storms develop. So if
Mhm.
I'm showing you a model that has a storm at your house, and then tonight the storm is a county south of you, yeah, that happens. These models are tools. My point is, what I would like to make sure folks understand is the atmosphere is conducive for tornadoes across the entire state of Indiana, Western Ohio, if you get a storm.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no arguing that right now.
For
Um,
sure. And Michael, I'm going to share my screen real quick because
yeah,
I'm noticing something interesting on the meso analysis that I think is important in terms of the tornado threat. So this is a look at the current observations, and specifically here, kind of zoom in on the wind barbs. And so right now, our winds are straight out of the south. And in fact, just north of I-70, actually have some of them that are a little bit more out of the southeast. So
Brett,
that's where we're.
I hate to cut you off. We just got an ND real
Ooh,
quick. Um,
you're good.
I do want to. It is a 80% probability of a tornado watch. Um, Go ahead and continue what you were saying, and then I'll
Yeah.
share that next.
So again, you can kind of see in general, these are pointing the direction that the wind is coming from. And so south southeast right now, this is where we should be. Note how we are actually a little bit more out of the south with the winds right now compared to what the model data would suggest.
That's a great
So
observation.
yeah, that would only increase the opportunity for these storms to rotate. So potentially right now, two things are happening. One, data, and you can also see data is too quick to initialize these storms out to the west in Illinois, and the winds are also a little bit more out of the south. So that would increase instability versus model data and increase the rotation potential with storms versus the model data right now.
I tell you what, and maybe this is an indication of a little bit deeper, more negatively tilted overall trough, faster than modeled, Brett, with the southeast surface wind. That's the only way you're going to get that southeast surface wind quicker,
Yeah.
in my opinion. So I think this is an indication that any of you on here that are doubting or just not sure, these are all indications of all systems go for some nasty thunderstorms this evening. I'll take over the share here and
Yeah, go
show
for it.
you the ND that just came out. Mesoscale discussion. This is from the Storm Prediction Center. What these are indications really for meteorologists to know that a tornado watch is coming. Right now, there's an 80% probability that they will issue a watch. Okay, and I'll kind of read this to you, and you guys can try to follow along. These are big words, but this will help you. Pronounced, when I say boundary, I'm going to say words that will help you understand. So pronounced surface recovery is ongoing in the wake of an earlier morning wave of storms beneath the periphery of the overall atmosphere. Low-level convergence along the surface, along the cold front, is expected to strengthen. So that means that just more forcing for storm development is going to take place as the jet stream moves in. All right. While the development is largely expected to remain near the gradient of where there's more low-level moisture, so where the dew points are higher, which I've already talked about, the upper level wind profiles will support supercell structures as the convection matures, which is what I was just talking about on the HRRR model. And I'll get back to that timing in just a second. What's that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I accidentally put on the video. Keep
Oh,
going. Ignore me.
you're good. Low level flow will become increasingly veered, which means the wind will just really become favorable near the front, suggesting that large hail and damaging winds will be the primary threat with the western extent of this. So for the further west you go, it's large hail and winds. But as the storms mature, the risks for tornadoes will be greater in the eastern extent, including the potential for a strong tornado in Indiana. So a tornado watch is going to come out. If you're on the western end of this area, it's not so much a tornado threat, but the further east you go, the tornado threat will increase. And I'm going to talk more about that right now with the model. I'm going to go back to the model here because you can kind of see even in the modeling what they're seeing here. The cells start to develop again. Here's 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m., those cells start to organize. And as they come east, they get into an atmosphere that's much more conducive, more energy, more moisture for tornadoes to develop. Again, this is a 6 o'clock forecast radar. Don't take it verbatim, but anywhere you see the cells here, there can be tornadoes.
Mm-hmm.
No question about it. This is a view over Muncie tonight with just a sounding for tornadoes. I mean, this is a good sounding here. We'll go back one, just kind of looking at the atmosphere, the environment out ahead in Johnson County. Another tornado sounding with the indication of a strong tornado certainly possible here, and several big hail analogs as well in these storms. So let's go forward a little bit. Let's go.
Yeah,
down.
and I was going to say, it also looks like on this new run, there's more development that happens too towards 7, 8 o'clock.
Yep.
And into the late evening hours as well across the southern half of the state. If you were with us earlier, that's kind of what we were talking about. And so, you know, it almost is maybe evolving, Michael, into the highest threat for maybe the northern half of the state being late afternoon and into the early evening, and then the southern half of the state and into Ohio, northern Kentucky, a little bit later, more
Yep.
into the mid to late evening hours.
Agreed. And there's that second wave Brett's talking about. This is 8, 9, 10, 11 p.m. tonight.
Yeah.
So second wave. If the metro area of Indianapolis gets hit with a first wave, according to the HRRR, around 4 to 6 p.m., it's indicating a second wave with the main front would come through around 10 to 11 p.m. And that's, if you were watching this morning, that's what we talked about. I'll show you one thing here. Kind of helps us indicate where the strongest storms are being indicated on this particular model run. But these are called updraft helicity swaths. This is where you could see a few tornadoes indicated by the model. A couple of longer tracked updrafts here. Yeah, you know, they're not out of the question all over the state. That's the thing. I personally am inclined to believe from Kokomo to Muncie to Columbus, Cincinnati, Bloomington, Indianapolis, this area here, I'm inclined to believe is probably the best spot for tornadoes.
And Matt made a good point earlier too about, you know, for areas along and south of I-72 with kind of that second wave, is if we get some storms to put out some boundaries, some outflow boundaries to the north at first, it could allow some of these storms to latch onto those boundaries and rotate a little bit easier as we work more into the evening hours. And I'm looking at the HRRR wind profile, and I can share my screen so I can show you all what I'm seeing here. But if you look later in the evening, I'm noticing, if I can zoom in here, I know it's a little bit hard to see, just note how these winds are a little bit more out of the south, and even some spots in here that you see just some varying wind profiles. So, you know, I think that there's the opportunity, pending how the first part happens, for some of these storms in the evening, Bloomington, Seymour, Columbus, 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock to really rotate.
Brett, I'm curious on the, I need to get see if there's any moisture pooling going on from and then the dew points from the morning round of storms. I don't see anything right now. Okay. I'm just curious if we have any higher dew points. Let's see. Let's go through again the simulated radar, Brett. I'm going to pull up to give people some timing. I'm going to pull up the 15-minute HRRR. I feel like it can give people a little bit of a better idea on placements of storms. And I'll share my screen here. So listen, here's what I'm going to do, because I see so many people commenting and asking. I'm going to share the simulated model guidance, and I'm going to give you ideas of where storms could be for timing. Now, remember, just because the model puts it in a certain spot doesn't mean that's where it's going to be. It's just simulated radar. It's not take it to the bank radar, right? So let's go through this. State line, Indiana, Illinois. Here's 3 o'clock. Okay. I'm going to take you out to 3:30. Okay, here is 4 p.m. Again, you're seeing these thunderstorm development on the state line between 3 to 4 p.m. Those are the ones on the western edge where more of a damaging wind, large hail threat would exist. As these storms mature, this is by 5 p.m. and move east, the environment becomes more conducive for tornadoes east. And you can even see a supercell developing there near Lafayette, one near Fort Wayne, one near Terre Haute. Okay, here's 5:30. See a couple of cells again west of Fort Wayne, Muncie, north side of Indy, Greenwood, down in Bloomington, a couple of cells there. Okay, round one, you could call that, would be east of the area by about 7:30. Here's 7:30 tonight. Okay, and then here is 8 p.m. as the actual main front, or the main area of forcing, if you will come through. Here's 8:30. Here's 9 p.m. You can see a thunderstorm line developing not only here, but also north along the front. The front's actually back through here in this particular instance. You can watch it as it tries to right there. Here is 11 o'clock tonight. Okay, another line of storms would come through the area.
Mm-hmm.
So just to give you all an idea on timing. Now, here's what I will say real quick. I want to illustrate something, and then, Brett, I'll let you talk here on any points that you might have. But I want to show you guys something I believe is relevant to the situation. And that is, as the initial line comes through, you're going to note these higher dew points near 70 degrees along and south of I-70. And that's where a lot of the best parameters will exist for tornado. This is the significant tornado parameter. You can see just east of Indy, around and east of Indy, the darker magenta, purple, pink colors would it be the indication of at least probably where there could be several tornadoes, 2, 3, 4 tornadoes. I mean, I have no idea how many. It's impossible to know that, but more. Now, there can certainly be tornadoes further north, as you can see, especially as you get into this evening. So, yeah, I mean, I think right now it's 3 to 6 p.m. with these supercells, maybe 3 to 7 p.m. with the supercells from west to east. And then it's like 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. for another line behind the cells. I don't know. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. And I want to pull this up real quick too, because we've got a lot of people asking just about, what the threat level is for their specific location. So I know we threw this up at the beginning, and I just want to throw it up again. Anywhere in this enhanced area, in this orange area that you see, is at play for all modes of severe weather, especially hail and tornadoes. Now, I still think that, as you mentioned earlier, and maybe even especially kind of with that second wave, anywhere in this area could have maybe a couple of stronger tornadoes and maybe is a little bit more widespread, while areas to the north with the first wave are a little bit more, I wouldn't say hit or miss with storms, but I think the tornadoes and the tornado warnings maybe aren't as widespread as this area that I circled in pink. And I think it's also important to keep in mind that if you're in this pink circle, I mean, to be completely honest, anywhere from 4 to 10 p.m. plus 10 to 11 p.m., let's say, in this area. It's not necessarily one storm comes through and then you're done. It's going to kind of be a widespread on and off coverage of storms throughout this time frame, any of them capable of producing large hail, damaging winds, and a couple of tornadoes, maybe even strong tornadoes. Further off to the north, I mean, maybe more like a 3 to 6 p.m. type of deal?
Yeah.
Up here.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
So for those of you asking about, after school events, asking about letting out of school, certainly I think that if you were across the southern half of Indiana, northern Kentucky, and into Ohio, you're going to have problems. The chances of you completely avoiding all of it are slim, I would say. But you also will have some gaps. It's not going to storm throughout this entire 7-hour period.
Yeah.
So just something to keep in mind there.
Yeah, it's a scattered storm threat. It's not everybody gets storms. That's
Yeah.
just all there is to it. I mean, it's just one of those setups where it's just not that, Brett, do you see my map? No,
Where?
you
No,
don't see it.
I chuckled at Brad Miser, said 4 to 11 inches of snow, question mark. I think we're done with that for the year, right? We've been done with that since January, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to share the SARS estimated hail size parameter right now,
Okay.
as it's starting to, as this is starting to kind of come into the environment. There's indications that if it were to hail, hail could easily be 2.5 inch size in stones. Just seeing this kind of come together is you don't really normally get that here. The percentage of hail being significant in that size is rapidly increasing as these, your 70, 80, 90, even 100% out here. So interesting nonetheless to see the hail signal growing rather quickly, and also the significant tornado parameters is growing relatively quickly as well. I think one thing we need to keep in mind too, Brett, is the just the storm relative helicity in general. Where is that at on here? Look at the violent tornado parameter. That's interesting.
Woo.
Hang on, where is that at? I don't know if I have just storm relative helicity. Am I missing it?
What are you looking for again?
Just storm relative helicity.
Go to wind shear. Yeah, so there it is.
Okay. Yeah. So if anything, that could be lacking a little bit. Inflammation. Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's something Vince and I were talking about earlier. The only potential limiting factor is the winds at times have the tendency to be a little bit more southwest rather than out of the south, which would limit that low level rotation a little bit. But I think as we talked a little bit about earlier, maybe the model data is a little bit too much out of the southwest right now. And so there could be a little bit more helicity and a little bit more rotation than what some of the model data is picking up on. I'm just looking here, Michael, real quick. We have a little spreadsheet that kind of targets whether all these parameters line up for tornadoes. What is our 0 to 1 kilometer bulk shear? Out of curiosity, what does that look like? If you go back to that mesoanalysis page.
Mm-hmm.
And guys, shear, if you're not familiar with it, shear is just basically looking at how the winds are changing in direction and changing in wind speed with height. And the more that change occurs, the more different the winds are in both speed and direction, the more shear that there is, the more the storms will rotate.
It's 25 to 30 knots.
Okay. So for longer track tornadoes, generally you're looking at 30 knots plus. So you're kind of right on the border there.
Yep.
Yeah.
We do have a question here that I wanted to address that I do believe is relevant. Jay said, "As this only includes Northwest Indiana." That's because the development's going to start there first.
Yeah.
There will absolutely be expansion of the discussion and probably a watch widespread tonight. I don't see that being an issue. What is gorilla hail? I heard that brought up from storms out in the west. That doesn't really happen here normally. Texas Panhandle is like the large hail capital of the world. It's just massive hail. So that's not something I would feel comfortable in saying. I mean, could we get some 2.5 inch hail reports? Sure. But the gorilla hail is like 4-inch hail, 5-inch hail. I don't. Right now,
doesn't happen around here. 2 to 3 inches is about the as big as you can get, and it just goes back to typically our atmosphere is a little bit more saturated, a little bit more moist here in the Ohio Valley than out in the plains.
Yep. Question here is, will there be widespread power outages? I don't think so, unless you get tornadoes in the localized areas. But this isn't like a widespread line of 80-mile-per-hour winds. That's not what this is.
No. Tomorrow wind could be a little bit of a bigger deal, I think, along the Ohio River.
Yeah, I would agree.
I know we've been getting some questions on that. We'll touch on that briefly towards the end, but want to focus on the today.
Yeah, so a lot of you on. What do you think, Brett? We want to go through one more time, just general risk area and timing.
Yeah, and I am starting to see a couple of cells pop up near Bloomington, Illinois, near Peoria. So starting to get kind of that initial convection.
Yeah, let's go to the screen here. We'll go to clarity. This is where the watch is going to be coming here soon, probably anytime. You can see some thunderstorm activity rapidly actually developing now just north of Bloomington, Illinois, west of Pontiac there, east of Peoria. Thunderstorm activity starting there first, and then it will move east with time. So probably a watch there before long, and then it'll fill in, later this evening for sure. What run is clarity showing for the HRRR right now, Brett? Can you tell me?
Probably still on 15Z, I would imagine. It's either 16 or 15. Go to the, let's see here. Stand by. Let me look. Let me verify that.
I'm very intrigued with the models being too southwesterly with surface winds. That's something that's I keep thinking about after you brought that up. I'm really concerned about that, to be honest with you.
We are on Clarity's 16Z now, so the 12 p.m. run.
Okay, so we'll go with that. I'll keep watch on just to make sure if one pops in while we're doing this. This is forecast radar, guys, again, for the event on the Clarity platform. There's the thunderstorm activity developing. I'll take it out to 3 o'clock. You can see that happening. All right, and then here is 4 p.m. There's 4:30, 5:30. There's a couple of the more organized supercell-like storms there that you're seeing. As we go forward, here is 6:30, Fort Wayne, Muncie, Indy, Greenwood, Bloomington, certainly at risk for some of these. Again, with more of the southeast surface wind, my interest is peaked for tornadoes. I'm concerned that these storms, if they can become surface based, can start to spin pretty quickly. 7 o'clock. So by 7:30, that round of cells is probably east, getting into western Ohio. You can see here's 8:30, 9, 9:30. More thunderstorms developing along the front. Okay, so an additional line. There's 10, 10:30, 11, 11:30 tonight, getting into Cincinnati, northern Kentucky. There's 12:30 a.m., 1 a.m., and 1:30 a.m. Here is the current risk for tornadoes. If you are in the area where you see the yellow with the dashed lines, that's the risk for stronger tornadoes, being EF2 strength or greater. I think in terms of number of tornadoes is favored more along the I-70 corridor. But I think a stronger tornado or two could be north.
So, I would agree.
And then there's your hail risk. It's in the same area generally. You can see, again, it's further west into eastern Illinois where the tornado risk is not. You see the difference there?
And I really think that there should be a 30% hail risk in there. I really do.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if they do any upgrades tonight or not. I don't know. I agree, though.
If for nothing less than just the fact that it's not super common around here, I think perception is reality a little bit, and I'm impressed with the hail threat for today. So,
Yep. Yeah. So guys, that's. Someone said, "Do you think it'll be as bad as it was in Oklahoma?" No, I don't. I don't think it'll be that bad. That was a couple of nasty tornadoes that went through there, but that kind of wraps up this live. I do, Brett, if you would share the cure real quick.
Yes.
The 5K. Talk about that before we wrap up. We'll probably be back on I would say as a watch gets issued, or B, when the storms really start going. So 3:30 or so, we'll probably come back.
Yeah, so here's the price for admission again that we will do today, guys. Head over. There should be a link in here in the comments. I'm going to post it again just so you all have it. Click on that link there. It should have sent out on Facebook and YouTube. And you can register to run in the Storm Cancer 5K. That is on June 2nd of this year. That is a Sunday morning. Registration opens at 8:30. The race begins at 9:30. We are trying to get to $30,000 raised for that. We have a lot of awesome sponsors that are already right here on this page that are committed. Some of them will actually be there on the day. So certainly want to give a shout out to all of them and appreciate their support for this event. We do still have some room for sponsors. So if you're a business and you want to get involved for a really, really important cause, we would love for you to click on that link and get started and get signed up. You can make a payment, download the form here if you want to sponsor. But this is all for research into pediatric brain cancer. This is Addie May, who battled this a couple of years ago and ultimately lost her life to it. And we want to do whatever we can so that other people, other families don't have to go through that. A lot of great research ongoing there at The Cure Starts Now. This is specifically the Adeline Strong chapter that we're working with. It's going to be a huge event. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you're not a runner, walk. There's a 1 mile walk. We're going to have, I think, Kona Ice there, and we're going to have tie-dye shirt stations and cookies and cupcakes, and it's right in downtown Franklin, so there's a ton of stuff all around. You can be done with the 5K and go over to Shale Creek Brewery there, or go over and get coffee across the street. It's a great area, so we'd love to see all of you there, meet you, and more than anything, get you involved in this really, really important fundraiser, this really important event.
I love it. All right, guys, share this with a friend. If you don't follow us, hit the follow button, hit the like button, share this with a friend for updates for tonight. And as soon as a watch comes out or things start ramping up, we will come back on and keep you all posted. Check out this comment, Brett. This is fun. Nope, not that one. That's fun too. Thank you. You're welcome. But your new streaming software is awesome, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
we're learning a few new tricks along the way, right?
I'm an old school guy with a stream. I love to just do it from my phone, but I will say this is winning me over. So this is easy. It works good. It's nice. And we're streaming all over the place.
Yeah, so. We can put up the comments on here, and it's easy. I can interact with YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook all at the same time. So yeah, it's awesome. We've had a little bit more of viewership on YouTube this time around. So if you're on YouTube especially, share this video because we want to really ramp up the following on YouTube. We've got over 4,000 subscribers, so want to see more and more of you on YouTube as well, Facebook and Twitter. We always have a lot of viewership there, and I certainly appreciate all of you. But let's spread this all over the place, especially for a day like this where weather can be super impactful to people.
Awesome, guys, this is great. We will be back shortly. When we come back, we'll be talking more nowcasting and watching storms as they develop. So thanks for watching. Share it with a friend.